Remember Abobo? He's that first level boss from Double Dragon. You know, the guy who was bald and shirtless and looks like he'd pound anyone through concrete? Do you remember him now? Well, did you know he had his own game? No? Well, okay, I don't know where I'm going with this. Review numero 49 is on Abobo's Big Adventure, a flash game created by a bunch of fans of old school 8-bit action. You play as Abobo, who needs to save who I would assume to be his son, aptly named Aboboy. You go through several NES-inspired stages, defeating various old school references to save your pal. And although this is a flash game, it actually gets pretty difficult later on. In order to do this review, I think it's best to take it stage by stage. There's 8 total stages, and each one is a homage to a different game. First off though, I love how they used Mega Man 2's intro for the game. Then when the game actually starts, they use Double Dragon's intro, but of course slightly modified. Abobo gets kicked in the balls, Abobo shows up, and it's rage time. First thing you may notice is that you have a rage meter. If you can fill it, done by hitting enemies without getting hit yourself, you can perform a special move that will obliterate anything on the screen. After that rage meter, you may be overjoyed to see just how many old references there are. The game mixes them up well, and you don't really see a lot of the same game on the screen at all at the same time. Of course, being that it's the first stage, there's quite a few Double Dragon enemies, but seeing Donkey Kong and the Spy vs. Spy spies are interesting to see. Oh, and don't forget the secret room. Everyone knew about that wall glitch back in the day, but Abobo was forced to go up there, and then we see exactly what was going on up there. The boss of the stage is actually the machine gunner boss, and he gets an interesting death. The second stage is an underwater Mario stage. Oddly enough, Abobo has a tongue like Yoshi, and can eat any of his enemies and just spit them out. The swimming is kind of difficult and feels too labored though. If you get close to a hole, it's actually kind of difficult to get any elevation to avoid drowning in it. Eventually you'll get to a door that you enter, with a Dragon Quest style menu. Each choice yields a different outcome, each have their own comedy. After that, you get that freaking electric vine shit from Turtles 1. You then have to battle Bomberman, and then a giant shark. The shark fires lasers and drops Tetris pieces at you. Stage 3 starts with a fight with an urban champ. Kudos if you get the reference to the 2 girls in the discount brothel. You get to do a Mortal Kombat style fatality to your opponent. Or, you can do nothing and get a friendship, which looks similar to something Johnny Cage would do. That's literally all you get for Stage 3. A Zelda-style dungeon crawler comes up next. You have to go through about 40 rooms to find keys and kill various things, including Shy Guys. This stage is interesting at first, but then it starts to feel like it's just dragging on way too much. You have to enter almost all the rooms, which amounts to about 40 of them. That's a lot of walking around, and it just starts getting mundane. It would have been nice to see different types of enemies. The boss is the old dude that gives Link his sword. You can beat him with a stick of beef. The boss requires a bit of skill to defeat, but he's not so bad. After this, however, is when the game really starts getting difficult. You're now chasing some dude on a balloon reminiscent of Balloon Fight. You have to keep smashing A to gain elevation, all while avoiding any obstacles. When you get a chance, you need to pound on the enemy's head to chase him away. You can get frustrated because of all the extreme looseness of the controls, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. It's also pretty funny reading the taunts your enemy throws at you. Once you can pop his balloon, it's time to wrestle him. Do what you can to max out your rage meter, because when you do, Bobo calls in the Ultimate Warrior, Rowdy Roddy Piper, The Undertaker, and Hulk Hogan to lay the ultimate beatdown. It's actually really funny to watch this scene, and also just to see him get tombstoned, and it's a great throwback to not only older games, but also to the time when the WWF didn't totally suck. After this is a Mega Man stage, Model Left to Quick Man. I enjoyed this quite a bit just because of the music. You do seem to get some leniency with those damn laser beams, as they seem to be deployed a bit slower than in the regular game. The boss for this stage is Robo Bobo, who chucks Dr. Riley at you as his first attack. After defeating his first form, he morphs into Mecha Bobo, who is considerably harder. He still does no bad once you get the patterns down. It's just fun to say. Robo Bobo. Mecha Bobo. Robo Bobo Bobo Bobo. Okay, yeah, I'm just having way too much fun with this. After this, it's on the Contra style stage, but first we're treating to an animation of Bobo getting ready. This is where the difficulty just starts getting ridiculous. Contra wasn't even this hard. Thankfully, the game allows you to input the Konami code to gain 30 extra lives. You continue on as you would expect, and the boss of this stage? Well, at first it's Krang, who's pretty easy, but after that, Kirby gets involved, and heals Krang, and becomes Krangby. After you defeat him, you're not done yet, as Kirby just floats away, and Abobo isn't done with him either. You actually get to play the second stage of Contra too. Once you get to the top, you need to take down the normal boss, or so you think. Instead, Kirby devours it, and you get to fight a super huge version of him. He's only got a few attacks, but the main one to look out for is when he inhales. Don't be standing in the center when he releases his current ability. Kirby dies, somewhat violently, and the dog from Punch-Out says he knows where Abobo is and offers to help. Can you get where this is going? Okay, basically, Little Mac went evil, and now it's up to Abobo to put a stop to him once and for all. You get a quick little training segment, and I must say I'm disappointed I didn't see Abobo in a pink jumpsuit. In reversal from the normal Punch-Out games, you actually play as Little Mac's opponent, so you're the dude in the center of the screen. Now, it's actually fairly difficult to successfully dodge Little Mac's punches. The only way you can really hit him is right after he attacks. If you knock him down, Abobo taunts him just like Bald Bull used to. If you can knock down Little Mac a few times, he'll power up, and then it's on. He'll hit a bit harder, but if you still stick to concentrating on evasion, he'll fall. Into a great bit where Abobo dons the power glove and literally decapitates Little Mac. Abobo is reunited with Abobo, and a twisted ending is in store for you. Well, until you realize that it's just like Super Mario Bros. 2, and it was all a dream. Well, that's the stages of the game, so let me go on to a few other things. As you've noticed, the graphics are very faithful to the original games. When new stuff was added, it doesn't look out of place. Sure, it's mostly an ode to the NES, but when there was Genesis and SNES sprites added, such as the cat in the very beginning from Chrono Trigger, it just doesn't look unnatural. Even the sounds are done perfectly. The music, for the most part, were all direct ports from the actual games that the stages follow, so of course that feels normal. But what about the controls? Of course, Abobo would have been best played on an NES controller, and although it's possible to hook up a controller to the game, I had no difficulties using my keyboard. The arrow keys move you around while A and S act like the NES's A and B buttons. Pressing P will pause the game, and if you need to return to the menu at any time, you can do so by pressing M. The game automatically saves, but its form of saving is the level select. Some of the stages are quite long, most notably the Zelda dungeon, but thankfully there are checkpoints in case you die. In fact, most of the time, if you die, you start immediately where you fell. You get 5 lives, and I think that you have infinite continues. I didn't die enough to find out. And finally, let's move on to the rage meter. I've already mentioned how it works, but what's great is that you get different rage attack depending on what level you're playing. In the underwater stage, Abobo spins around creating a giant cyclone. In the Contra level, he calls down a plane to drop a ton of bombs all over. It's a nice touch to the game. One other thing is that in the first stage, you can run to attack, but this requires rage to perform. No rage, it's no running attacks. So what do I think of the game? I think they should slap this thing on NES cartridges and sell for people instead of working NES consoles laying around. The game is a great nod to the NES's library, and there's just so many references that you can tell they put quite a bit of time into creating this game. It just goes together so well that it's hard not to praise it. And since it's a Flash game, it is free, and the link to it is in my review description. Or, if you prefer, you can just go to Newgrounds or Congregate to play it. Me personally, I use Congregate, but I'm sure it doesn't matter. Seriously though, go give it a shot if you grew up in the Nintendo era, as you definitely won't be disappointed. Final score? 5 out of 5. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.
Finish him. Flawless victory. Fatality.